search warrants in the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Aisha Degree.
You remember she went missing 25 years ago on Valentine's Day. Back in September, we told you how law enforcement was working to connect new details of the case.
WBTV's Jason Bucket has been digging through these new search warrants. Jason, what is in these new documents?
Yeah, these 3 new warrants were released here today at the Law Enforcement Center in Cleveland County. Now, they call for the seizure and search of cell phones belonging to members of the Dedmon family. Now, you may remember that family was mentioned in warrants put out back in September. Their home also searched. Today, these warrants showing some text messages and communications between the family. In the fall of 2024, Cleveland County sheriffs carried out a series of search warrants on the home of Roy and Connie Dedmon. Deputies seized evidence, including green vehicles they say matched eyewitness descriptions of the last car Aisha Degree entered in 2000. The warrants at the time listed the Dedmons and their 3 daughters as persons of interest. The new warrants released Tuesday call for the seizure and search of phones belonging to Roy Dedmon and his daughters Lizzie and Sarah. Now, Lizzie would have been 16 at the time of Degree's death. In the warrant, we see a text message from her to middle sister Sarah. It says, "The theory is I did it, accident, covered it up." Sarah replies, "No, why would it be you?" And another text from Sarah to Lizzie. Sarah says, "They think it's our shirt. It's not her shirt. Her mom said it wasn't hers." Sarah then adds, "I don't remember that shirt. I'm scared though. Dad is probably going to be a huge suspect." In the last text referenced in the warrant, Lizzie tells Sarah, I want to do what Dad says." Later, Sarah texts, "You don't want something we do or say impact him, but we also can't be living like this either." The warrants also share testimony from a friend of the Dedmons who came forward after their home was searched last year. He told detectives that he was at a house party in the 2000s when he overheard a, quote, heavily intoxicated Lizzie say she had killed Aisha Degree before being shushed by her sister Sarah.
Ooh.
Now, I want to read for you one last section here of the warrant. This is from February 10th, 8 days ago. It says a detective here approached Lizzie Foster, asked her to take a polygraph test. She was asked whether she was concealing information, quote, and was found to be deceptive. Now, keep in mind, this warrant is basing information they've gathered so far. They are going to seize those phones of those family members, so we're expecting to see more coming out as this investigation continues.
This is a
for now, though, here live in Cleveland,
known case called the Shelby Sweetheart in North Carolina.
Bombshell information, Jason. Thank you. Just last Friday marked 25 years of searching for Aisha Degree. Over the course of that time, there have been several major developments in the case. You can find a full breakdown of every twist and turn on our website right now. Just go to WBTV.com.
Where did I put my coat?
Day 1988 was a special and happy day for Harold and Aquila Degree. They chose this day to get married. Every year they celebrated their anniversary and enjoyed their wonderful children. Unfortunately, for 12 years, anniversary fate started a new countdown. It was Valentine's Day when their darling daughter Aisha disappeared without a trace. It seemed the police and the FBI would find the girl very quickly. But the days turned into weeks, then months, then years and decades. A large, loving family prays for Aisha and waits for her to open the door to their home. Aisha was born on August 5, 1990. A year after her brother O'Brien. The Degree family lived on Oakcrest Drive in a residential subdivision amidst a generally rural area north of Shelby, North Carolina. Both parents worked full-time jobs nearby, Harold as a warehouse loader and Aquila as a piano assembler at Kauai America Manufacturing. Many relatives lived on the same area. The children visited grandparents, uncles, and aunts, and were friends with cousins. Brother and sister were very close, lived in the same room, went to the same school, had similar hobbies, and seemed to know absolutely everything about each other. The children came home from school on their own, and their parents expected that by the time they returned, their homework would have been done or the children would be in the process of doing it. The parents tried to shield their children from outside influences and center their lives around extended family, church, and school. The family did not use computers. The parents believed they were unnecessary, and they were afraid of the bad influence of the internet on the children. In some ways, they were right, especially since the news often reported such cases. Aquila later said that the children were not upset by such a ban. Aisha's character matched it well. She was cautious, shy, and mostly content to stay within the boundaries set by her parents.
At least they had boundaries.
Like any little girl, she was afraid of many things. Aisha was afraid of dogs, strangers, the dark, and thunderstorms. She was the type of child who would never leave the house on her own. It is all the more difficult to understand and explain the event that happened that night to 9-year-old Aisha. At the time, Aisha was in 4th grade at nearby Falston Elementary School. In the second week of February 2000, a 3-day weekend began there. On Friday, February 11th, Cleveland County schools were closed, but the Degrees still had to work. The children spent the day at their aunt's house in the same neighborhood, from where they walked to basketball practice at their school. The next day, Aisha's basketball team, on which she was the star point guard, lost their first game of the season. Aisha fouled out of the game. Her parents recalled that she was somewhat upset about this and cried with her teammates after the game, but it wasn't long before she was smiling and watching the boys' team play, cheering on her brother. On Sunday, February 13th, Aisha and O'Brien, along with the extended Degree family, attended church in Waco. Then there was lunch at an aunt's house. Relatives said Aisha looked happy and cheerful. That same evening, around 8 p.m., both children went to bed in their shared room. An hour later, due to an automobile accident nearby, the power went out in the neighborhood. The power came back on shortly after midnight, at which time Harold looked in on his children and saw Aisha and O'Brien asleep in their beds. Harold went to bed at 2:30 and a short time earlier, he looked in on his children and saw them both again. O'Brien, who was 10 years old at the time, recalls hearing Aisha's bed creak shortly after their father left the room. He did not pay much attention to it, assuming that she was simply changing position in her sleep. Apparently, shortly thereafter, Aisha made sure her brother was asleep again and got out of bed. Aisha took her backpack, in which she had previously put several sets of clothes and personal items, and left the house. At 3:45 a.m., a truck driver saw the girl on Highway 18. The girl was then seen by a motorist at 4:15 a.m. as she was walking south on Highway 18, wearing a white long-sleeved shirt and white pants, a little north of the intersection with Highway 180. Both drivers reported it to police after seeing a report of Aisha Degree disappearance on television. The motorist said he turned the car around because he thought it was strange that such a small child was alone at a time like this. After driving around 3 times, he saw Aisha run into the woods beside the road and disappear. It was a rainy night and a witness said a storm was raging when he saw her. Aquila woke up at 5:45 in the morning to get the children ready for school. This involved preparing their bath since they had not been able to have one the night before due to a power outage. When she opened the door to the children's room to wake them before the alarm clock rang at 6:30 a.m. to call them to the bathroom, O'Brien was in his bed. But Aisha wasn't there and Aquila couldn't find her in the house or in the family cars. She told Harold that she couldn't find their daughter. He suggested that Aisha might have gone to his mother's house, who lived across the street. When Aquila called there, she was answered by her sister-in-law saying Aisha was not there. Aquila panicked and called her mother, who advised her to call the police immediately. Harold called 911 at 6:38 a.m., and the first police officers arrived on the scene immediately. Nothing in or around the house explained where Aisha had disappeared to. There wasn't a single clue. Even the police dogs that were called in to search for her could not pick up Aisha's trail. Aquila went around the neighborhood calling her daughter's name loudly, and, she said, by 7 a.m., all the neighbors were awake. Friends, relatives, and acquaintances put aside their businesses to help the police. Nearly 100 law enforcement and volunteers combed the fields and forests near the child's home on Oakcrest Drive, and the pastor of their church, along with other local clergy, came to Degree's home to support the family. By the end of the day, only a glove had been found, which Aquila noted did not belong to her daughter, as no items of winter clothing were missing from the house. Thanks to local news coverage of the event, 2 drivers who saw the girl on the road in the morning reported their observations to the police. On February 15th, candy wrappers were found in a shed not far from where Aisha was last seen running into the woods. Nearby were a pencil, a green marker, and a yellow bow, which, as it turned out, belonged to the missing girl. Also found was a photograph of an unknown black girl about the same age as Aisha. This was the only lead discovered during the initial search. On February 16th, Aquila realized that Aisha's favorite things, including her red striped jeans, were missing from her room. A week later, the operation was scrapped. 9,000 man-hours were spent searching a 3-mile radius from where the Aisha was last seen.
That's it.
Flyers have been posted all over the area, and police have received 300 reports, ranging from possible eyewitness accounts to clues about abandoned houses and wells where Aisha could be. "We still don't have any solid leads," the sheriff's office stated at a news conference, and urged the media to keep covering the case. At a press conference on February 22, 2000, stated that it was going to conduct a large-scale search for Aisha. The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation got involved, adding her to their databases of missing children. Based on what Aquila said about Aisha taking with her, investigators speculated that she had been planning the departure and preparing for it for days before her disappearance. "She doesn't fit the profile of a typical fugitive," a SBI agent noted. Another expert, from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, noted that most children who run away from home are at least 12 years old. The FBI agent also pointed out that there were no problems she could have run away from, such as a dysfunctional family or poor school performance. Although investigators did not understand the reasons for Aisha's leaving, they believed the girl may have been abducted. The media attention went nationwide. Reports about Aisha Degree were featured on The Montel Williams Show, America's Most Wanted, and The Oprah Winfrey Show. In March 2000, police erected a life-size color billboard with Aisha Degree's image and identification on Highway 18, near where Aisha was last seen. In May 2001, race car driver Travis Cavapple placed Aisha's image on the hood of his car during a race in Concord, North Carolina, which was broadcast live. On August 3, 2001, during construction work on Highway 18 in Burke County, near Morganton, about 26 miles north of Shelby, Aisha's backpack and other belongings were discovered. They were wrapped in 2 black garbage bags. The worker who found them said the backpack had Aisha's name and phone number on it. The FBI sent it to a lab for further examination. The results of that examination have not been made public. A prolonged silence on the case followed. On the 20th anniversary of Aisha's disappearance, the FBI confirmed that the backpack contained a copy of Dr. Seuss's book McElligot's Pool and a t-shirt featuring the band New Kids on the Block. The t-shirt did not belong to Aisha's, and the book was from her elementary school library. The Degree family has taken steps to keep the memory of Aisha and this cause alive in the public consciousness. In 2008, they established a scholarship in her name for a deserving local student. They hold an annual walk to raise awareness and funds to help fund the search. The walk starts from their home and ends at the missing person billboard of Aisha along Highway 18, not far from where she was last seen. Photos of Aisha, both real and those in which she may have appeared in later years, created by investigators to aid in the search, still adorn Degree's home. In February 2015, the FBI announced that FBI agents, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office investigators, and SBI agents were re-examining the case and interviewing witnesses. They also announced a reward of up to $25,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for her disappearance. The community group offered an additional reward of $20,000. In May 2016, the FBI reported that Aisha could be seen getting into a dark green Lincoln Continental Mark from the early 1970s, or possibly a Ford Thunderbird of the same era on Highway 18. The car was described as having rust around the wheel wells. In September 2024, after a prolonged silence on this case, The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office and the FBI issued a search warrant in connection with the disappearance of Aisha Degree. Investigators believed Aisha Degree was killed and her body was hidden. 2 items from the backpack yielded forensic results, linking Aisha Degree's DNA to Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez, who was 13 years old when Aisha went missing, and an Underhill man who was already deceased. Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez had 2 other sisters who were 15 and 16 years old in February 2000. Several search warrants have been issued for Dedman's parents, Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez, and several properties associated with them. The home of Roy Dedman, the father of Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez, at Cherryville Road is approximately 3.5 miles from Aisha's last known location near Highway 18 in North Carolina. His home and property were searched by law enforcement on September 10th and 11th with police using drones, search dogs, and various experts. No human remains were found, but several items of interest were taken from the scene. Authorities took a variety of computers, laptops, cell phones, and records from Roy Dedman's home. There was also a human tooth in a plastic bag that was retrieved, according to the search warrant documents. There are reportedly 29 automobiles registered in the name of Roy Dedman. At least one of those older vehicles, a green IMC Rambler, was seized. The vehicle was similar to the car that Aisha allegedly got into. It is also known that Roy Dedman's oldest daughter used this car in 2000. Another target of the search was a nursing home called Northbrook Rest Home, located in Vail. The nursing home has been owned by Dedman's parents for many years. Russell Underhill, whose DNA may match DNA found on Aisha's belongings, lived for 2 years from 2002 at the Northbrook Rest Home. Underhill died in 2004. The connection between Underhill and Aisha Degree has not been established. Roy Dedman and his family deny involvement in Aisha's disappearance. Authorities have not issued arrest warrants or commented on the investigation. The investigation of this high-profile case has been going on for nearly 25 years. Some investigators are as old as Aisha could be right now. Some have children as old as Aisha was when she disappeared from home. Some have children who have grown up and become parents over these years. Life goes on, just not for little Aisha, frozen in time in the photo. Aisha's family is praying for her, believing that she is alive and will surely one day enter her parents' home. May the prayers of these people be heard and hope become true. I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who...
Alright, so, in the beginning of the video, that I wanted to give y'all the update on Aisha for people who follow true crime and been following this case. And then I brought this documentary in for people who need to get updated and familiar for what's going on. Make sure y'all comment down below, like and subscribe, especially if you want more content like this. We in the building.